The following is a presentation of the Eagles Sports Network.
Second year that you've gotten to do this. Last year, obviously, some level of success. Both teams make postseason play, and the women's team goes to the Sweet 16. I don't know how much of that is a credit to you, but certainly results happened. What differences did you see now from doing it the first time last year to doing it in year two?
Okay. Well, first of all, I take no credit for success, and I take no credit for failure. That's how it is. I think it just shows what a great job that the coaching staff did with Coach Moody and really focusing on the team cultures and raising the bar for excellence. I think you had two leader groups last year and then carrying over into this group that are just really locked in and focusing on the details, focusing on reaching excellence, and both teams are incredibly fit. So that also shows commitment over the summer. So it's very impressive. And I didn't have to come in and be so hard on them this time. I came in and ripped the Band-Aid off last year, and this year you can already tell that they're just carrying over what they learned last year.
So with that, was there any change in message because of that, or how do you treat something like this where it is year two?
Sure. I still challenge them. We did some different activities and had some quite different sessions. And again, I don't have to start from, in my eyes, square one. They've already taken what they've learned, and they just are continuing to build off of that. So I get to put them under a little bit more pressure and see how they're going to deal with that pressure individually as well as team-wise, and how are they going to manage that and help one another through that with communication, patience. Taking risks was a big topic this time. It's okay, you have to fail in order to reach your excellence, and what type of failure is good failure, what type of failure is just a lack of discipline or lack of focus, and really going into more of that mental toughness component. So since the culture is there for both teams now we can really dive into some of the exercise science and the psychology aspects of their sport.
Last year you talked about making them uncomfortable. Is that still a part of the equation, or is it more about, here's a super pressure packed situation, how are you going to respond to that?
Well, they go hand in hand. So a lot of times when you're under pressure, it is extremely uncomfortable, and growth happens in that uncomfortable state. So yes, I'm constantly trying to challenge them and make them uncomfortable. And it's how do you find ways to become a successful, reach your excellence when you are uncomfortable, when you are under pressure, when you are, stretched to the max physically, mentally, emotionally. And now I want to see, because that's what they feel like when they're in a game situation. So my job, I feel like, as a sports psychology consultant, is to put them in those physiological and psychological states that they're going to feel in a game. And now when you're in those moments, now let's talk about how do you manage these when you are in the heat of the moment. I'd rather them fail miserably with me and with the coaches there as support, not on game day, rather than them experience those feelings and behaviors on game day for the first time.
Obviously, soccer has its unique challenges from a mental training standpoint as well as a physical. How applicable is what you went through over these past 2 days to a basketball, a baseball, a golf, a tennis?
I do very similar things. Obviously, there's some slight differences when you're dealing with team sports versus individual sports, but for most of my team sports, I could do the same kind of sessions I just did with soccer, with a basketball team, a football team, baseball team, softball team. My golfers and tennis players and swimmers, obviously a lot more individual, but there are some team aspects to that in college sports, and so I can do similar things, but then we're really addressing more of how do you manage yourself, how do you control yourself, because you can't count on your coaches in the heat of the moment. You can't necessarily rely on your teammates in the heat of the moment. It's you alone, all eyes on you, and how are you going to manage yourself?
You touched on fitness. Mm-hmm. Any other super strong points about the team that you noticed, or both teams really, that you noticed?
Absolutely. I think the fitness is huge. I think you can already see that they're thinking ahead. What are some of the challenges they might have this year, and how are they going to attack those before they maybe become big problems? And so I already could tell, especially with the leader groups and captains, they're already thinking ahead. They're already saying, these are some of the challenges we might experience, and hey, Tiff, what are some of the things we could start doing now to work on those things? Same with the coaching staff. They very much can see, hey, we had such success with both the men and women's team last year. Now moving forward, the women aren't going to be able to sneak up on anybody anymore. The men haven't been able to sneak up on people for a long time, but now the women, they've got targets on their backs. And so how do you go into every game knowing that you are probably going to be the big game for the other team? You're the game for every other opponent that you play for the rest of the season. So prepping them for those things.